Hello. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle Adamas. If it's your first time here, um, I should have said welcome back or welcome if it's your first time. If it is your first time, please let me know that and so I can welcome you. And also, if you're popping on here and you've been here before, I so appreciate your returning, and please say hello, let me know where you're watching from. I will be able to see comments and answer as we go along. I'm kind of excited about today's project. I'm a little nervous and a little excited at the same time. We're going to be using the new two of the new stencils by Roycycled Treasures, and we're going to be using the croc stencil. I'm going to turn up my project here 1 second. Let me make that the focal point. Okay, let me know that you can see okay. I'm hoping you can. I've got a little bit of a shadow over here. I hope that's not going to detract from things, but if it does, just let me know. So we're going to be using the croc stencil and we're going to be using the floral stencil. And but we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be watercoloring on this wood riser that I have. So yes, you can watercolor on wood. And to do that, to prepare your surface, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I did up to this point. One, I prepared my board with 3 coats of watercolor ground that is transparent. So this is by Daniel Smith, and it's called Transparent Watercolor Ground. So you can use this, paint it on. I did go a little heavy-handed here, and then before it was dry, so I've got a little bit of a white haze, but over here it's completely transparent. But I actually like this. I think that it adds a little bit of interest to the piece. So I'm going to go with it and just embrace it, and I think it's going to be just fine. So I did 3 coats of this watercolor ground on the wood surface. What this does is it is basically a gesso specifically made for watercolor, and it prepares your surface to accept watercolor just like a paper. And I thought this would be really fun. I've done this on cutting boards in the past, and I had this wood riser. I passed by it this morning and I thought, oh, instead of doing like a little art piece on a piece of paper, let's do something a little bit different. So that is how I prepared my board for today. And then also, because we're going to be doing some masking, we are going to try one technique, and then I have another in case this doesn't go as well as I thought it would. So what I did is I prepared some masks, because we're going to be doing a floral arrangement in a croc. I love crocs and I love floral arrangements. So hopefully if you've seen me do those in the past, this one will be a little bit different for you. So to create masks, what I did was I went ahead and just took some acrylic paint and I stenciled the florals onto a piece of plain copy paper. And then what I did was I wrapped this, laid it down on some Dollar Tree contact paper. I did this so that it would give it some body and some weight. And also because I'm going to be working with watercolor, if the water hit that paper, it was going to render it just one use. So most of these, I believe, are coated on both sides with the contact paper, and 1 or 2 of them is not. So I may only get one use out of those, but we're just going to go with it. But that's how you can make a mask for your stencil. And so you'll see why that's important as we go along. So I'm also going to be using this croc stencil, but I don't want it to be, I'm not going to use the entire width of it. So I'm going to show you how you can adjust the size of this really easily. But I first am going to do my floral arrangement. And I see that Shannon is here. And hello, Olga. Thank you so much. You're back from Cocoa Beach. I appreciate you both being here. Thank you. So the first thing that I want to do is get an idea of where I'm going to lay my croc. We're going to be using, as I said, watercolors today. And I have 2 different types. I have the regular in the pan, and then I have some liquid watercolors, and I'll share those with you. I also have a variety of round, and I've got a flat brush. We have my masks. I have clean water and another one to rinse, a paper towel. So I think, everybody, I'm set. So the first thing that I want to do is, because this is going to go in the back, because I think I want to have a little bloom here. What I'm going to do is, because I first want to do my floral arrangement, I'm going to go ahead and use a chalk pencil. I just have a white chalk pencil. And these lines are wide enough in the stencil that I can just kind of trace. I'll be able to erase this. So I'm going to go right about here, because remember, I don't want to go the entire width of my crock here. Okay, I'm just going to go like this. And before I stencil it, so I'm about here, about mid to that 5. Okay, I might go a little bit wider, just a little bit. And we will be stenciling it, but I don't want to stencil it first. So now what I'm going to do is just move this over. And that was just about right there. And now I'm going to get the rest of this. And this is just going to give me my placement for my crock, because so now I have my crock over here. It might be a little hard for you to see. I'll try to hold it up. It's just right over here, so I can see this well. And the reason that this is important, it is a little crooked. So I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. And then I have a little eraser here. So I can make it a little bit longer when we actually stencil it, or not. But anyway, I get the idea. So when we think of the floral arrangement and how we're going to lay this out, we have to think about what is in front and what do we want behind. So one of the ways that I work through something like that is I kind of lay out my design. I'm going to do some different leaves. So I have one of these where I cut most of the leaves off. And so I've got this. I could cut those off as well. I want to paint some eucalyptus, actually. But I do think the leaves would be nice and I can do them this way as well. So I can have some leaves coming like that, right? So obviously this one's going to be in front. This one's going to be behind it. And then I thought we could do maybe something like this. And then maybe we would do, I'm going to have it, I've got a lot more white space over here, and I can always do one here. So this is the really interesting part, is when we're laying this out, we have to think, okay, well, now I like this. So what am I going to do first? And I always have to pause at this point, because you really do have to think about it. I was just talking about this with somebody today. So you really do have to think about that. And I want to get that. So this is going to be the one that is front and center. So this would be the first one that I do. And what I'm going to do is just mark. I hope my pencil will write on this. So I'm going to write that this is 1, right? And then this is going to be 2. And then this is going to be 3. And this is going to be 4. All right, we're going to do these 4 flowers. And what I mean by that is I'm going to go ahead and stencil this one first. And then I'm going to use this mask to protect it while I stencil this one, because then you'll see how this goes. So I'm going to go ahead and set these right up here. And I'm going to go ahead and get out my stencil. And I decided I was just going to use the 2 leaves. I'm going to try to kind of place it the way I had it. I think it was kind of, let me see how I did it. I think I did it kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to hold that in place right here, and I'm going to remove that mask. And if I shift it a little bit, that's okay. I'm going to go right here. So I'm not going to do these bottom leaves because I do want to do a different type of leaf. And now I need to prepare my paint. So I was thinking about how this has the watercolor ground, and I have a little bit of the, I want it to be water soluble, whatever I put on this. Do I want the stencil in the small window or no? In the small window. I'm not sure. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, Shannon? I'm not sure. The marking that I made was actually for the crock. So let me know a little bit more about your question, and that will help me, I hope. Or if you're trying to save me from myself, I thank you in advance. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I on screen? So is that better? Oh, okay. Is this better? Let me know. And I can also bring my camera down. Let me know if that is helpful as well. Okay. No, don't apologize. Thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate it. It makes no sense if you can't see what I'm doing. So, all right. So I have this in place. Now, I want to use a watercolor to outline this, and I don't want it to be super dark, but I think a brown would be okay. So I'm using Dr. Martin's. These are Hydrus watercolor. These are just liquid watercolor. And so I'm going to just put just a drop of the brown because they're highly pigmented. And then I'm going to put in some of the titanium white. And this one I'll put several drops in, and then I can adjust the opacity as we go along. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. I just want to be able to get my design down. Okay. So let me mix that up. I think I'll do, I'm going to use the stick of this. Okay. So I'm mixing this up to get it's kind of like a caramel color, really. Okay. And just mixing up that paint. I can take that off. And so hopefully this will be dark enough. Then I'm going to take a sponge. Let's see, the work you're doing is in the small picture in the corner of the, oh, that's really funny because on my side, it's showing that I'm in the small area and the project is large, but I can change let's see if I can do this a little bit differently. Is that helpful? Or I can go back to the other. I hate to be so big on screen because I really want I want this to work. So let me see if I can do it. Let's play with that a little bit. Shannon, let me know if this is better. It's not as full screen, but let's see if this is better. Okay. So I'm going to do this. Let me know. Okay, that's better for sure. All right. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. Thank you for letting me know. On my end, it showed that I'm the little bit up in the top corner, but anyway. All right. So I'm going to dip a sponge dauber and I'm going to just take that off right there. I'm just dabbing it off. And then I'm just going to pounce. And hopefully this color is dark enough that I can see. If not, I'll just go I'll just add more brown to it. Let me see before I go too far if it's showing up. It's not showing up really well. So I'm going to add a little bit more brown to this and let's darken it up. I don't mind if it's outlined. That's okay. We can deal with that later. So I just added 3 more drops of the brown and let's stir that up. I didn't want to do acrylic paint because I didn't want to have an outline that I couldn't adjust if I wanted to with a little bit of water, that I couldn't reactivate. So I've made this much darker. Let's see if this helps. Okay. And so I held that in place. So let's just pounce. And I might get a little bleed through underneath, and I really am okay with that. But this watercolor ground that we prepared our board with, and I don't want to do these leaves, so I'm kind of holding my hand here. I might have to mix up more because this is really soaking it up. All right, let's see if I'm hoping this worked. This was my idea because the other way that we could do it. So I need a little bit more over here. I'm just going to go full strength. I need a little bit more. I think I'll just do the whole brown and we'll do it that way. Okay. All right, let's just go full strength and see what happens. Excuse me. it's where the lines are really fine, and I have some beading over here. So I think we'll still be okay. So let me see if I got that. That's pretty good for what I want to do. I think I need a little bit more right there where I can see. Yeah, that's better. I want to define those areas. So as long as you're holding your stencil down, you can lift up and see where you need a little more definition. It would be much easier with the acrylic paint, but like I said, I really didn't want to do that. And then I need a little bit more down here as well. Okay. And it's just because the detail on these stencils is so good. All right, I think I have enough to work with. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to dry this really quick so I don't smear it. Shannon, I so appreciate your letting me know. You're always so good about checking my links and doing all those things. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm good to go. So here's the thing. We're going to find where is number 2. So this is number 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my mask down, right? And I'm going to get some more brown. I'm going to add maybe just a little bit of water. I think that'll help me a little bit. I'll just add a tiny bit. Hopefully I don't spray it all over. I have a pipette. Give me 1 second. I have a little pipette. Let me just add a little bit of water to this so I'm not using so much of it. I just added a few drops of water. Okay, so now I've masked this off, and I'm going to carefully lay my stencil down again where I think I want this. And I think I'm going to go with the leaves. I think we're going to go this way a little bit. So I have some leaves that come off of here as well. And so I'm going to lay this down, and it's going to be what it's going to be because it's a little hard to see. But so now what happens is that anywhere that that mask is, it's not going to transfer over. I am using a liquid, it's called Hydra watercolor. And I'm doing that because I want to be able to reactivate this with water and not have such harsh lines, like as if I were stamping or something like that. So again, I'm going to avoid those top leaves. I'm going to go right over that mask, although it's not going to stay. Okay. It's going to bead up over the contact paper on the mask that I made. And I just want to make sure that I have the outline. Okay, that's pretty heavy actually. So it works better with the water, and that's okay because I can reactivate that with the water. So now what I want to do is I'm just going to wipe off my mask just real quick. Okay. And so now what I want to do is I have this one that's going to be number 3, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and put my mask back down. And now this is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So I am going to just use this one as a little bit of a protector. The other thing that you can do is use masking fluid or drawing gum to do this. But I'm going to that kind of works with that. So I'm going to just adjust that and leave that there and just use that as the mask right there. So I think I will show you the other way that you can do this, just so you know. This is a drawing gum, and I'm going to apply this with, you can use a brush with the drawing gum, but if you do, it needs to be a brush that you're only using with the drawing gum, because it will ruin your brushes. I really should pour a little bit out. I'll pour it into my lid because I don't have a separate container. I guess I could have put it in my thing. And so what I'm doing is basically, this is open. It has like a little well inside. Let's see if you can see that. So it's got a little bit of a well. I don't think that's in focus. And when I dip my pen in, it's going to soak up a little bit. And basically, I think I'm going to have to dry this just a little bit. So I think I'll do it this way. Just dry this. All right. And so what I can do is I can come over here and I'm just going to fill this in with the drawing gum. Winsor & Newton makes one that is an off-white, and I think that would have worked fine on this dark area, but just in case, I like to use the blue sometimes because I can see it. So what I'm doing basically is I am protecting the part that I don't want any of my fluid, I don't want to stencil right over this, right? I'm trying to protect this because this is the one that is staying out in front. So this is another way that you can do this, but I wanted to show you how to make your own masks for the stencil out of copy paper and the contact paper. It's not even a problem that it drips because it's going to come right off. So I'm a little heavy-handed here, but I'm going to come up over this. So I'm just kind of following the outline of this and it's going to dry. I was very heavy-handed with that. I'm just dipping in. I really should be dipping into the lid that I poured this out in, but this is right in front of me. So I'm doing this instead. And I'm basically what I'm doing is protecting the surface, and that way my paint will not adhere to that. So I think this is going to be plenty for me to work with. Hi, Sandy. I'm not sure if I said hello or not. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying hello. All right. I think this is going to be, I want to fill in this little area right here first. And then since we're here, and I'm going to be adding another one, I'm going to go ahead and fill this in here, because that'll be the next one that I was going to need to use a mask for. So if you're using the paper masks that you create, it's a good idea to make more than one of each design. So each of these florals in the stencil, it'd be a good idea to make 2 or 3 so that you have multiples to use. And this is kind of the same concept of if you use IOD stamps and the masks, you know that they have those acetate, those little plastic sheets with them. So I think this is going to be enough. We'll see. If not, I'll add a little bit more. And so what happens is when this dries, it's just going to lift up. So I am going to try to speed this up just a little bit. You want the masking fluid to be dry. I'm going to dry this a little bit too, because you'll see that it comes right off. I don't want to put my stencil in that. Yeah, so the pen, it's just called a drawing pen. It is all it's called. It's not called like a masking pen or anything like that. It's called a drawing pen. And that's all it is. So even though you can see through this, it just means that I was less heavy-handed here. I'm going to touch that. It's a little, but this stuff comes right off. And when it's dry, it basically just rolls right off. So it's really helpful. So this is going to take a little bit longer to dry. I think it's a little hot. I'm touching it. I think I can probably give it a go. Hopefully I won't ruin it, but I'm going to give this a shot. So number 3, I just want to double check that number 3 is this bigger bloom. And I'm going to set it, we'll just go a little taller up here and do that. Okay. So I need to keep myself from making a ginormous mess. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. Let me just touch this. It's a little sticky, but we'll see. Let's just give it a whirl and see how we do. Okay. So I'm going to come here and lay this down. I'm going to hold it down here, and I need to mix up just a little bit more of my watercolor. So I'll just do a drop, and then I have some clean water over here that I haven't used yet. So I'll just drop a little water in there, and then we'll pick up with the sponge dauber. And then let's go here. I'm not sure I'm going to be dark enough. Okay. So I'm going in a pouncing motion. Another tip is if you're going back and forth on it, then I can give you a tip, and that is try not to go too aggressively back and forth, because you can pull up the delicate parts of your stencil and they will be bent forever, which I've got a little area on mine that is. I'm going right over that masking fluid because it doesn't matter. Let me see if I got that. It's a little, it's pretty, it was pretty wet from that, so I'll leave that. Okay, I'm not worried about that. We will just deal with that. So my next one then, it means that I need the mask for that particular flower. What did I do with it? It's right here. So I'm going to dry this, and then we're almost done with this masking, and I'll show you how everything goes to the back. All we're doing is laying out our flowers in the arrangement that we would like to use them in. Have you used masking fluid in the past? I do love the blue because, like I said, I can see where it is. And I've got these little blotches here, but I'm okay with that. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to lay this one down. I'll show you, because I could use the masking fluid, but we're going to do this instead. I'm going to come down with it, because then the next flower, the number 4, was going to be this. And I've already masked off this area, and this is serving as a mask. All right. I hope that that is making sense. Okay. So let's get this little one, and I'm going to turn it. I'm going to turn it this way, I think. Yeah, we're going to go just like that. Okay. I'm going to be adding some different flowers that I just paint on my own. They don't all have to be. Okay, that's the black that I had out, and here is the brown. Okay, I'm going to try not adding so much water to this. And let me tamp off so I don't have a lot of bleeding. Let me just tamp off into my paper towel here. And then I'll just pick up the ink and see how we do. Okay, so this is a smaller one. Let's see if I'm even getting in there. Some of these lines are so delicate. I'll just pick up some from here and see if I can get any on my dauber. I do love the detail in the stencils. It does make it a little difficult to get in all the lines. Let's see, how did we do here? I need a little bit more for my own eyeballs right here. And I'm going to have a little bit of bleeding, and I'm okay with that. But let's see if we can do that. Okay. I think I can work with that and just refer to the stencil. All right. So I'm going to lift this up. And so when we take off the, you can do it a couple of ways. There is an eraser. This is just like a little eraser that you can use for rubber cement. And it makes it really easy. It's just a textured little piece of, I'm not even sure what they call it, but it can lift up like this. So you can take it off like this, just like that. And now it'll be easier for you to see when we do this. But now where I wanted the the flowers. So the arrangement is where I want it. And then we're going to go ahead and address the rest of that. So here where I have a lot of the bleeding, I could either put some white watercolor ground on it. What I'm going to do is see if it will, if I can get it to spread out just a little bit. If I can pick some of this up, right? I think I'm just going to work with it. So we'll just add some color and see what we can get. And then I have to switch my water because now that is now the dirty water because I'm right-handed, so I always go to the right. But I think we're going to be able to go right over this. All right, and I'm going to use this as a reference. I did want to do a little flower at the edge, but I think I might do a little leaf or something like that. So let's go ahead and get these flowers painted up. I'm going to just make some room for myself here, get my lids on. I would not want this stuff to go all over. And I just spilt masking fluid on my surface. So give me a second here. I'll just let that dry and then I'll be able to pick it up. So that'll be okay. Of all the things that could spill, that one I don't mind at all. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me switch my waters. So this is my clean water and this is my dirty water. So I'm going to dip into some clean water. Let's move my masks here. And I'm just making some room for myself, guys. And so I just have several colors and I'll try to let you know which ones I'm using as we go along. All right. I'm going to start out with I have like a little a cheat sheet basically that I do. So this is a swatch and the names are here. So it lets me know where all of my colors are. And so I'm just going to set that up there and let's go with some oranges. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead. My little drawing pen is stuck there. To get started, I'm going to go ahead. I think I want a little bit of a bigger round. So I'm going to get another round here. And let's start with this one. This is an 11, so it's kind of big, but it'll allow me to get some color down. Okay, so I'm going to start out. There's my clean water. Let me just go ahead and spray my colors. That'll help me get them. That'll just speed up the process for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with a little bit of this. I believe this is an Aussie red gold. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so this is the Aussie red gold. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to be pretty heavy on this one with my color. I can layer my color if I choose to, but I'm going to be pretty concentrated with it. And I'm laying down the same color on this one. I'll do different colors because when I put down this first coat, this will help me to see where this will also help further let me know where the differences are. If I need to go over that brown with some white, I can. And so let's just get that in a really concentrated form and we'll let that dry. So I'm just following the lines. I'm not adding much water at all to this because of the heaviness of the lines on this one. Okay, so I think I will definitely go over those with, I'll show you how we can change that up a little bit. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and just go with some yellow ochre over here. And so this, I'm just going to come in here with the yellow ochre. And I'm just following the lines. Oops, I wanted to erase I didn't erase my chalk lines like I wanted to, so that's okay. I'll go over those with something else. All right, so I'm just filling in with a different color just to give me some definition of where my different flowers are. Just pushing that in. I do like how you can see some of the wood grain in this. I think that's really pretty. And I'm going to have to, well, that is going to be a little bit of a problem. So I'm using my finger to erase those chalk lines because I wanted to erase those before, but I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with the rest of it so that I don't have that to worry about. I'm just using a pink eraser and erasing those lines. So while it's wet, I can actually use my finger and the water to remove it. So now those lines are gone, which is super helpful. All right, let's get this back in here so I can tell the difference of what I have here. And just following the shape. I'm going with a fall color palette. And then if I'm a little, curious about something, I can also always refer to my masks or the stencil. I'm not sure what I did with those. So I'm going to look at this and see. So I did the one with the 2 leaves, and this will help me also. I didn't do this little one down here. I did this. So this is part of this as well. So you can always refer to that as well. Where's my clean? Okay, dirty water is here. And I'm going to just tap off. And this is part of this bit that was in front. Okay. And again, right now I'm just coloring them in a little bit differently. Just so I know where one begins and one ends. Okay. Okay, so for this next one, we're going to do something a little bit different. This is the one that we did, the second one. So I'm going to use even a different color. And so I'm going to go ahead and use the Quin Deep Gold for this. It'll be just a little bit darker. And again, I'm just laying down some really concentrated color. I can activate it with water. Okay, so there's a little bit. So that goes behind that. How are we doing? Okay, I'm losing you. Okay, let's do, for this one, let's go with, I'm going to do the Quin Burnt Orange and see if that's enough of a delineation. And I'm going to kind of come over that because we're already working with the brown where that was so heavy. Coming in here. Okay, and so now I can tell better which flower is which as we are painting these. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the leaves, get some color on the leaves. And for that one, I'm going to use the Green Appetite Genuine on this. It's a little bit darker. And again, I'm just going to lay some color down. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and paint out our crop. For this one, I'm going to start with titanium white, or I'm sorry, titanium buff. I think I went in my dirty water again. All right, I'm going to go with titanium buff, and I'm going to use a little bit of a bigger brush. I'm going to start with this, just laying down the base color. Okay. And I'm coming in here. We're just laying down the color, and then we get to add all the fun details. So this one, you're not really going to notice the white chalk lines. I'll be coming in with some shadowing anyway. Let me get some, I can't remember. Okay, dirty. I don't even know. I've lost track now. So I'm going to get some more of that going, get some more water on my brush, and just get some color down. Okay. Come up under here. Okay, now I basically have the outline that we're working with. Okay, so now what I want to do, as I said, I've just lost complete track of what we were going to do. So I'm going to start adding some different colors to my flowers. I think for this one, I'm thinking this is kind of an orange, and I want to add a little bit of, I don't know, like I might try, I've got this really beautiful like moon glow, but I think I'm going to, let's just add a little bit of the new gamboge and see what happens. This is a much brighter yellow, and I can add a little bit more water, and we can just kind of drop in some of this. And just get some color variation. And every little layer I'm adding to this seems to be softening the brown somewhat. That's a pretty heavy flower right up there. So I'm just dropping some in. Just dropping it in just for some variation, and we'll let that dry. And so for this one, I think I want to do something a little more on the red side. Maybe I can mix a little bit. Let me try to mix a little of this Bordeaux with the new gamboge, and then I get like kind of this like little bit of a rusty red, and I'm going to come in where it's darker and just drop that in the center there. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of that here too with some little dots. And maybe in here I can do that. I'll just see what we get there. I like that color though. And then I think I'll add a little bit of that to the tip of these. Just dropping this in. Gives it even more definition. And I can go ahead and, are you with me? Is anybody here? Okay, that's okay. I'm going to pick some of that up. Just spread it out a little bit more with just a little bit of water. And I have a lot of water sitting right there. So I'm just going to pick that up. It's actually going to remove the color. And I'm okay with that. So on this one, we're just starting to get some. I'm going to move this even a little bit more. My brush is pretty dry. And I'm just kind of pushing that in where it has gathered, I guess. All right, and I'll do the same here where it's become really concentrated. I'm just dropping in some more water. Okay, and we'll do that. So I'm going to let all of that sit and dry. This one's pretty bright. This one needs a little something else over here. So I think for this one, I think this one was the, I can't even remember what that was, but let's see what we've got. I think I'm going to add a little of the buff titanium to this little mixture that we made right here. So it's a little more peachy now, and we'll add that in here and see how that might be a little too pinky, but we can play with that. And I'm just dropping it in various places. I have a hard time knowing like when I want to stop with the color of things. So I'm dropping it in pretty concentrated. So kind of dry on dry. And then I'm going to add some water to this and just let it kind of do its thing. Okay, so it still isn't looking quite right, but I want to let that dry. So I'm going to come back and let's add another coat of paint to our crock. And I like the pointy tips on these brushes. This is actually a number 12 round. Okay, and we're just adding a little more. Excuse me. Get some more water in there. My brush strokes there's a lot of brush strokes in here, but that's okay. I'm going to come here. Okay, now that I have that in there, let's see if we can get a little shadowing going on there. I hope you'll try your masking fluid, Shannon. It's a pretty cool thing. So I'm going to go with I'm going to go ahead and go with a Cyclerite Genuine. And so this is more of a brown, as you can see. And I'm just going to, I think my shadow is going to be this way. So I'm going to go ahead. I usually do it from the other way, but I'm going to go a little more concentrated with this since it's wet. And we're just going to bring this down here. And I'm going to I want it to be a little random. Come here. I'm going to pick up a little bit more, and I'm going to come under those flowers as well. I get so quiet when I'm doing this. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you. All right, let's get a little bit more. I need to dab this off. I want a little more concentration because there's enough wet here. It's mixing because it's wet with the buff titanium. So I'm going to kind of come out. I was also just talking shadows. That's definitely something that I want to work on, but I'm giving this a little bit more of a just an antique-y feel. And then we'll come in even with a darker color for this. I do want it to pop on my wood board, so I have to be careful not to go too brown. I may need to add a little more buff in here or something like that. But my light is going to come on this side. Okay, so now I'm actually going to add a little, I'm going to see if I can get a little yellow ochre in here, what that would do if it's going to be too matchy. And then let's mix a little bit of that Cyclerite brown into that. It's too brown. So here's one of the things that I'm going to do. I'm just going to take a baby wipe and I'm going to pick that up. It's kind of like a little eraser, right? So let's just do the variations of the Cyclerite brown and the buff titanium. We'll do that. So it is going to be a little bit of a brown. I could have done like a blue croc, but I kind of liked the idea of doing this instead. And I don't really have another really dark brownie color in here. So I'm just going to go a little, let's add a little, I'm mixing these. And we'll come back and come again. So I can use my pen or something like that and define it. I may define it like that because it's very brown. Let's add a little bit of white. Maybe we'll do that. This is where it's supposed to be darker, not lighter. So I'll come kind of push this out here. Now I'm starting to get some definition, so that's helpful. We're just adding some white in here. You can see I'm not very careful about this. And I'm kind of pouncing my brush a little bit. I like that it has a little, some things showing through. What I really want is just some definition in here. So I'm going to come in with the darker again, but then that's where it gets too brown. So maybe what I'm going to do is just do a different shadow color. Here's one that is a Piedmont Genuine. I think this is the one that is a little redder, but let's try that. Yeah, I think that's probably better. I'll probably just have to do some outlining on this. Maybe mix a little bit of the black with the gray. And then I also need to let this dry. So since the flowers are dry now, we can work on those a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of the New Gamboge again, and I'm just going to mix some color here with what I've already got. And let's come in here and we're going to drop in more. So this one's a little bit brighter. Just dropping in some other colors. This is going to take me a while, y'all. Just dropping in some of that all over. So they kind of make sense, like they came out of the part. Thank you so much. Thank you, Olga. I appreciate that. Just dropping in like some brights, some darks, some muteds, but I definitely think I want a little bit of red in here too somehow. And so I'm trying to decide. I think I'll go, I don't want to go really bright, but let's try some, what do we want to do? Let's try the Alzarian Crimson and see what happens. Okay, that is pretty bright. I still have a little, let's see what happens up here. I don't have a lot of water on my brush. Some more water. The more water I have, the more translucent it will be. I'm just playing, playing, playing. I do like having some of that Algerian crimson in here, but it definitely needs the water for sure. And then just kind of letting it puddle in places. Just to bring out some different colors. Now I have something back here that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to come in here and just kind of fill that in back here. And we won't really be able to tell, but I like having a little bit of the Algerian crimson mixed in. I think that's really pretty. And I'm going to do that in the others as well. And we'll just do them in varying, varying values, I guess, is what I want to say. So this one is needing quite a bit more. And I'm going to have to come in with a little bit of a marker or something like that and just bring out those leaves again, because this one actually is more subtle. This one's so heavy and that one's so subtle. So I'm liking and we can do some splatter, but let me go ahead and take I thought I have a neutral tint. I don't have a black here. So I'm going to go back in with that Cyclerite Genuine and a little bit, and I'm just going to define since these are so defined, I feel like this one needs to be defined as well. So I'm going in with just the very tip of my brush and redefining the petals. All right. And I think that makes a big difference too, because they were just getting kind of lost. Okay. Of course, I had to pick I couldn't just do like a simple thing. So what fun would that be, you guys? What fun would that be? Okay, so I'm going to bring back in those little dots and the little things in the center, and just that really helps a lot because this one was really getting lost, right? So just doing good, Shannon, I'm so glad. So I am just redefining those, and I like that so much better. So now that's starting to kind of come together, right? So we're going to work on this too, but while this is drying, one of the things that I wanted to do was, instead of using another floral over there, I thought some eucalyptus might be really pretty, like fall eucalyptus. And I've already got a lot of orange going on here. So I'm kind of thinking, do I do the green eucalyptus but I was thinking maybe the orange would be really nice. And so I was looking for, I don't know, let's just see what we've got here. Okay. So I'm going to just take the very tip of my brush, and I'm going to just start making some little places where I think I might want something else. So I'm not sure if you can see that. And then I think I'm going to want something that comes down here. It needs to be more concentrated. Just the very, very, very tip of my brush. And I've got too much water there, so it's going to be a little bit thicker. And I'm going to have that come down there. And then I think we might do some down here. I'm not sure. And then I don't know what I want to do over here. Maybe more florals or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what I'm going to do with the rest of this. I haven't decided, but I'm going to, I don't know. I may even come down here, and I think we'll do, let me see how we do with this. So I could just do a brown, but there's so much brown. I could do a tan, but let's go with something with like, let's try an olive. This is a actually a green gold. That might be really pretty because I can add some brown to it. I'm going to get some water in here. So let's just do this. I think eucalyptus is pretty simple to paint. So we're just going to, I'm going to turn it this way. Okay. And all I'm really going to do is just kind of with my round brush, I'm going to do like a little thing like that. Okay. And I'll have to darken that up because it's really bright. And that's bigger than I wanted. So I'm going to pick that up and make that a little smaller. It's okay that it's got a little shading. So I'm going to just do a little, I'm just doing like a little, kind of a little circle here. It's kind of like a, I think this is a silver dollar eucalyptus. I'm not sure, but I want it to have a third. So I might have it just kind of come back here. Okay, out like that. I'm just, again, laying down my base color for this. And I'm going to, it's just kind of, I may be making it a little more perfect than it needs to be. So let's add this. I usually like to do things in threes. And then we'll add some more color to this. Okay. All right. So that's helpful so far. And now let's add another green to this. So let's try the Piedmont green. And we'll add that to this. I can just drop it in. It needs more water. I can just drop this in. And then pick it up, which is what I think I'm going to do. So I'm dropping this in. And then I'm going to take my finger and my baby wipe. And then we'll just drop some other color in there as well. It gives me a little bit of shading. It's still like a wet on wet because there's still a lot of water, but now those are starting to come together. Okay. So kind of filling in. I really like kind of like the highlighting that this is giving. Okay. And then we're going to, I'm still just using what's on my brush here. Oh, it gets so quiet when I'm doing this. So, all right. So we're going to do this. And I'm just picking up with the baby wipe. I like how that just picks up in spots, but I want to add another one. So now I'm going to use this. I might even use like a little bit of the Prussian green. It's got a little more blue to it. And let's see what that does. Just kind of up at the tips. And then down at the stem, right there. And then I'm going to add, so the Prussian green is really pretty. And then again, I'm going to pick up, and it just gives so much variation without the color being too concentrated. Okay. So I'm going to drop in a little bit down here and a little bit up here. I love the variation in the leaves. That is fun. All right, so I need a little clean spot. Okay, lots and lots of, oh, I think I missed this one. Okay. Just filling in down here. I'll just go ahead and do these two. Drop that. There should be music, you guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up. There was just too much orange already going on. I think we're going to add some more red in the flowers. And so let's just add a little bit of that. What did I just do with that brush? I wonder if I can get, if I just go over this. I don't like things to be all one color. And this is too dark. So this one needs to be lightened up a little bit. So I'll go ahead and just pick up a little bit of that and drop that in. Okay. And so I'm liking this so far. All right. So let's keep working on these flowers. We are going to need, I may have to get out my other set of colors because let's see what else we can add to this. We're going to add a little bit of, let's mix a little bit of the, I don't know. I'm going to take a risk here and okay, I just made a brown. Hold on. Let me come down here. All right. So here, this is a little scary, but we're going to give it a go. All right. So this is a Pyrrole Scarlet, which is super, super bright. And you're probably saying, oh my gosh, she's ruining it. She's ruining it. I'm just going to add a little bit more water. And we're going to spread that out. I can always mute it. But I'll have to go over my lines again. Just dabbing. I'm telling you, I use baby wipes for so many things. It's right up there with all the others. So I'm lifting a lot of that color because it is super bright. I have this, I've always wanted to try this. I have not tried this before, but I want to see. I have this, it's called Neutral Tint. And I'm wondering what that does. I don't know, but let's just see if we can come in here and get a little bit more. I'm going to soften that Pyrrole Scarlet that's in here. With this. And it just needs something, you guys. Do you have, thank you, Lourdes. You like it without music? Oh my goodness. Then I really, I'm so glad you're here too. Lourdes, I have to come up with some, I need to not get in my own little world when I'm doing this. So I guess that's it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to add a little bit of, see if we can add a little bit of white. This was going to be my dark, but I still want a little. I'm just going to add a little bit of white in here and some water and see if I can't get a little bit of that. Definitely brightens that because I'm reactivating it. I want a little bit of different color. So it makes this super bright. And then I'll just pick up a little bit of that with this. So thank you, Lourdes. I'm glad you guys are liking it because I'm not sure what I think. I am not sure what I think of it. I was also talking to somebody about that, about how sometimes the best thing we can do is to walk away from something and come back the next day. Okay, so I'm just brightening that up a little bit with the water in this. And then we're going to, the one I think that I'm really struggling with this one right down here because I keep losing my lines. So, and I think it's because it's not dry. I'm not allowing it to dry, but I like the variation of that. So I think that's kind of fun. So I'm going to just dry this up a little bit and see if that doesn't help me. And then I know that we can't do this forever and ever and ever, but I really want to figure out this crock down here because it's just not showing up as well as I want it to. So I think I'm going to just have to really lighten up. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to really lighten up the buff titanium. I don't want it to be white. But I want it to be lighter. So maybe I can get a little bit of that. So I know it's going to be lighter over here. I think it's just going to have to be a lighter crock, right? And I'm just pushing this down. It's very, very wet. There's a lot of water on my brush, but I think we're just going to have to make this really light and then shadow a little bit differently, right? I think that's going to be much, much better. I'm trying to create a little bit of texture in my crock. And then I'll have to put my shadows in again underneath my flowers, but I think this is going to be better. So it's kind of like just a creamy color. And I think if we start out with that, that's going to be the best option because it's just not showing up against the wood. And I'm going kind of heavy, very heavy actually. How are we doing, guys? Okay. I think this will be pretty fall decor. And I like that it's a little riser. So it's not just plain wood. And then I'll mottle this a little bit. Add a little more white to that. I'm just going to get some on here and then I'm going to use my this is just a I'm going to drive myself crazy over this, right? All right, so I've got this and I'm just going to, I'm just going to pick up, I don't want to pick up too much, but I'm just dabbing for a little texture. Got some on there. Can pick that up. Just dabbing with a little texture. Okay, so at least we can see the crock now, right? And then we'll kind of, I don't know, I've really got to, I think I'm going to have to get out my other colors too and see what I can do. And then I'll probably do some more eucalyptus over here. And I don't know if you guys have any ideas, let me know. But I think we've been, oh my goodness. Okay, so we've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. You guys are amazing. I can't believe it that you guys are so patient. So anyway, let's just do a couple of little details on here and then we're going to stop. So I'm going to go ahead and do my some little stems. Like I know I'm missing a tiny little stem here on this eucalyptus that we painted. Okay, so I've got, now that makes sense. And I'm just going to do a little stem in there in the eucalyptus, something really just kind of all those little details. Something really faint. But that makes a difference too, right? Okay, so we're getting there. Okay, everything's just a little too orange it's just a little too orange. So I'm going to play with it and play with it and play with it and see what we come up with. But I know we've been here forever. So, because you just get lost in it, right? They're the things that you really enjoy doing, you just get lost in it. But I will finish it. I'll try to film it. I don't know. I'll try to film it and maybe speed it up so you can see, and then I can let you know what colors I did. I'll try and see what we do. But anyway, it's a fun thing that you can watercolor on wood, right? So I'm going to try to just do this side by side. So it's a fun thing that you can watercolor on wood and other surfaces. So I hope you'll give it a try. And I'm going to keep working on this, but I think I'm going to walk away from it for a little bit and kind of, I don't know, play with it and see what I come up with. But it's just a little too orange and I want to add some red, maybe it just needs some lightening. I'm not really sure. So I'll think about it. But anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And also for voting, you made it so easy. Everybody wanted to see something with the new stencils. So maybe we'll do a little bit more of that too. And I just so appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for joining me wherever you are. I hope you're well. And I will see you soon. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.